Hey, Stingray seniors. This is Miss Mashek. This presentation is to get you ready for your senior credit checks. We're looking forward to coming in. Your counselors will be meeting with you individually to go over everything that you need to make sure that you are ready for graduation. So let's get started. So today's topics, I'm going to introduce your counselors. We're going to talk about graduation requirements. We'll talk about what's next, like after graduation, SAT and ACT, and finally, financial aid. Starting with Miss Felix. She is the counselor for students' last names A through C. Here's Miss Thomas, students' last names D through H. Here's Miss Kandetsky, and she's new to us, coming from Broward County. So while she's new to us in Duval County, she's not a new counselor. She's actually got 11 years of experience. This is her 12th year as a counselor. She's worked in high schools the entire time, so she is great, and she's for students' last names I through MN. I'm Miss Mashek, students' last names MO through SH. And finally, Miss MacIntosh, students' last names SI through Z. Let's talk about graduation requirements, class of 2022. So beginning with credit requirements. In order to graduate, we have to have 4 credits of English, 4 credits of math, Algebra 1, geometry, and then 2 more, 3 credits of science, biology, and 2 more, 3 credits of history or social studies, and that would be world history, U.S. history, and the half credits of government and economics specifically. At least 2 credits of world language in the same world language, 1 credit of a practical or performing fine art, 1 credit of HOPE, the state required PE, and 6 additional credits of electives for a total of 24 credits. We must pass a reading assessment and a math assessment. So these are the testing requirements, and you'll see several tests are listed here, but that doesn't mean you need to pass every single one of them. We need to pass one of these in each category. We have to have passed a reading assessment, and we can use the 10th grade FSA reading, the SAT reading and writing section, or the ACT average of the reading in English. For math, we need one of these tests, either to have passed the Algebra 1 EOC, the Geometry EOC, the SAT Math, the ACT Math, or the PSAT Math. And then finally, the additional requirements outside of credits and testing are GPA and an online course. Students must have a 2.0 unweighted cumulative GPA. So cumulative meaning not just your senior year GPA, but your GPA that has been calculating every year from 9th grade, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th, unweighted of a 2.0 or better. And you must have taken an online course. So for the majority of our students here at Atlantic Coast, we use for U.S. government and economics, the standard version, not the AP courses, but standard government and economics. We use a platform called Edgenuity, which is a web-based platform. And so that course is flagged as web-based and will satisfy your online requirement. Nothing else you have to do as long as you pass the class and earn your credit. If you've taken that class, but at a different school, it may not have counted because it may not have been web-based. So your counselor, when you meet with them individually, will be able to answer that question. And if you're in the AP Government or AP Macroeconomics class, those classes do not count. But if you were here with us in 9th grade and took great books, that course does use Edgenuity as well and is web-based. So all of these classes or these questions will be able to be answered by your counselor when we meet following this presentation. So what's next after you've earned your high school diploma? Graduation, celebration, and then what comes next? For some students, you're looking into career schools or trade schools, and there's a lot of great resources out there, and I could talk at length about this because this is a great option for a lot of students. These careers that you can go into after going to a specific career training program or a trade school to acquire a skill like welding that you see here in this picture, or mechanic work. these are great careers with great benefits, and the pay can be really great as well. Um, and so we will give you some more information about this. We have some stuff already prepared, and we will share as time goes on. But if you're in this category of student who's not considering college but looking at career or trade school, these programs tend to be 12, maybe 18 months in length. So they're much quicker than a 2-year degree or a 4-year degree. And they tend to be a little less expensive. But right now, just like the students who are applying to college, right now is the time to be investigating these opportunities, finding out when you would need to complete registration or applications, understanding how much the school is going to cost you so that you can start planning for saving up that money or securing that financial aid. Some students may go into the military, and the branches are listed here. If you're interested in going into the military, a couple things should be on your radar right now. We should be talking with a recruiter. So maybe if you've already started that, great. If you haven't and you need to know who your recruiter is, we have some that are assigned to us specifically here at Atlantic Coast, so you can connect to your counselor and we can provide you that information. The other thing you'll want to have on your radar is completing the ASVAB. And that test generally takes place in November. Miss Menard, our testing coordinator, she she will be the one to announce the test. She coordinates it. So we'll just need to keep an ear out for the announcements. You can also let your counselor know. And when we know that the test has been scheduled, we can also make sure you're aware of that as well. This is a great, great, great opportunity. A lot of great careers can come from the military. And then traditionally, we've got college. So these would be the institutions where typically we're working towards a bachelor's degree, the 4-year degree, but also some students will complete just 2 years of an associate's degree at a school like FSEJ, and then choose not to continue their studies after that. But generally, we're going to college to get at least a bachelor's degree. We might even go beyond that for a master's or a doctorate degree or med school. And I quickly want to go through the college application timeline with you. So, at the end of the school year last year, we really should have been thinking about narrowing down our list of colleges. If you weren't doing that at that time, that's okay. We can certainly be working on that now. But we are at the point where applications need to have begun. So really by now, you should have narrowed down the list of colleges to maybe 4 to 8 colleges that you plan to apply to. In the AC Counselor's Guide to Summer that we posted for the rising seniors, there was a whole section on how many colleges should I apply to and in what category. So go back and reference that so you can remember what are reach schools, what are match schools, and what are safety schools, and how many in each category should you be applying to. We should be applying for scholarships every single month of this college application timeline. In March of this past spring through December of this fall, winter, we should be studying for and taking SATs and ACTs. So if you were here with us last year as a junior, you did take the SAT in April, and perhaps you got your score back and you were happy with it. It was exactly where you needed to be at to match the schools that you were interested in applying to or to be eligible for Bright Futures scholarship. But potentially your score wasn't where you wanted it to be in one or both sections, reading or math. And so you studied this summer and you retook the test, or you're currently studying and planning to retake the test. We really should be wrapping those up, although December is kind of the end of that window of time. Ideally, we would be wrapping this up sometime in October and November, because many of your applications are going to be due by January 1st. Some will be due before that, maybe even December 15th. And you really don't want to have the stress of waiting on that last SAT score to come back. So don't delay what you could get done now. Let's get that taken care of in the next couple of months. This past July through December, moving forward, this is like a heavy hitting time of college applications. We should have written or be writing our college essays, submitting applications. And so you'll need to know on that list of colleges that you've narrowed down, go to their websites and find out what are the application procedures. When is your application due? How are you reporting your transcript? Some schools will have you do what's called the SSAR, your self-reported um, academic record. And so you may need to get a hold of your academic history or your transcript so that you can complete that. Others will need you to send in their transcript. And so I'll take a moment, even though this is on your senior survival guide, which you should already have. I want to presence it so that you know exactly how to send transcripts. If you're applying to school through the Common App, Coalition, Send EDU, or any other portal that you would submit your counselor's name as a recommender, we submit your transcript electronically through that portal. So there's nothing else that you need to do. Just let your counselor know that you have listed them as a recommender, just so we make sure that we don't miss anything. If you need to send a transcript electronically because you're not using the Common App or any of those others I just mentioned, but you are applying to a school in the state of Florida and you need to send your transcript electronically, you can do that by emailing our data entry specialist, Miss Karen Hunter Nowak, and that's Hunter Nowak, Hunter hyphen Nowak, Nowak, and then K for Karen, at duvalschools.org, and request your transcript to be sent. And that would be electronically for any school within the state of Florida. If you're applying to colleges outside of the state of Florida, we're not able to send those transcripts electronically. So what you'll need to do is go to the Media Center, complete the form that the ladies in student services have to create and prepare your hard copy, which will be $3 per hard copy. They'll let you know when it'll be ready. Generally, it's within 24 to 48 hours. Then you'll be able to pick it up, put it in an envelope, and drop it in the mail. So we should be sending in our transcripts, doing the application, writing those college essays, knowing when our deadlines are for things, and sending test scores through SAT, which would be College Board, or ACT. So when you send your test scores, it has to come directly from the institution that administers the test. So for College Board, you would log in, you'd find the option to send scores and send your SAT score, maybe even your AP scores if you need to. Same thing with ACT. Requesting letters of recommendation. So it is common courtesy to give your recommender 2 to 4 weeks notice so they know and they have time to write you a letter of recommendation. You can reach out to your counselor if you require a letter from us or would like to request one from us. Send us an email. We have a quick form. We're also posting it on the school website. And that really helps us to know when your deadline is and answer a few questions for us so that we can write you a really strong letter of recommendation. If you're reaching out to a teacher, here's a little hint. Your college admissions officers who are reviewing your application would prefer to see teachers from your junior year. And the reason is because they have more of a history with you. They've known you over the course of the whole school year, whereas your senior year teachers have only known you for a few months. And so they might have some great insight, but they just haven't seen you over the seasons. So make sure you're doing that if you need that done. And then lastly, applying for colleges. October is a big month for financial aid as well. FAFSA, which I'll talk about in a minute, that application opens up on October 1st. You need to get that done during October. Students who get these applications done early are more likely to get the maximum amount of money that they are eligible for. And then also submit your Bright Futures application October 1st or during the month of October. So even if you haven't met all of the requirements yet, they're not going to review your eligibility until the first week of June and then again at the end of June of next year. So you have plenty of time to get all of the other things in, but the application takes 10 minutes and it'll be one less thing on your plate, and it applies you to 15 different other application or scholarships here in the state of Florida. So let's take care of that as well. January through March. This seems like it's kind of a quiet time, but it's an anxious time because this is when we are waiting on those acceptances. So we're finishing our senior year strong, focusing on our studies, getting ready for all the fun things that will happen in the spring semester. And during the months of January through March, we'll actually start receiving some acceptances, and we should still be applying to college. March through May, this is when you'll be making decisions. So you've gotten some acceptances back, and maybe you've got 3 to 5 schools that accepted you, and now you need to make a decision of where you will go. Your school will let you know the deadline that you have to let them know. Generally, it's by May 1st that you must make your decision and submit your tuition deposit to hold your spot. We should also be applying for scholarships. So then in June and July, you'll want to confirm your financial aid packages with the schools that you or the school that you decided to attend. You'll send your final transcripts, and actually we will send them on your behalf once they are made final, which is generally the second and third week of June. Around April timeframe, we will be doing a senior survey with you where we ask you to let us know where you need your final transcripts sent, because by April you should have made a decision. And if you let us know, then once the transcripts are ready, we will submit those on your behalf. Generally, it's the second or third week of June. You'll also receive your Bright Futures eligibility. Typically, the first wave of initial eligibility comes through the second or third week of June, and then there's another if you weren't caught up and captured in that initial wave, then again at the beginning of July, you'll have that eligibility decision as well. Exciting, you'll register for classes in June and July for your fall semester classes, and you'll confirm move-in day. So here, this information, the dates that are upcoming for the school year for national testing date are on your senior survival guide. You'll want to reference this. SAT and ACT, the websites are listed here. They're also on your senior survival guide, and the cost for those tests are also listed here. If you think you're eligible for a waiver, come see your counselor. We can check that for you and give you a waiver if that applies. So the different types of financial aid, this is what we're going to wrap up with, and I'm going to talk about FAFSA, Bright Futures, and scholarships. FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. So it's a free application. If you have this prepared for you by someone else and they charge you, it's a waste of your money because this is a free application and it's very simple to do. And having someone else prepare it for you does not increase the chance that you'll get more money. You're going to get what you are eligible for. You and your parent will need to create an FSA ID. This is the first step. It's your electronic signature. And both of you will have wanted to already have completed your taxes for this past year. And those already should have been done, but if you filed an extension and you're completing those need to get done so that you can submit the FAFSA. A lot of people have some overwhelm. They get a little worried about how much time is it going to take. Gosh, this form, I've heard it's really grueling. And it's not. They've created this really cool feature that allows you to sync with the IRS. So if you already did your taxes and you filed those, then all you have to do is use the sync tool and it'll pre-populate all of those fields for you. And all you have to do really is just confirm that everything is complete and correct and submit. So I'd set aside about 45 minutes of time. Everyone needs to complete the FAFSA, whether or not you think your family has financial need to be eligible for grants or Pell Grants, those sort of things that come federal money that you don't have to pay it back. Because even if you're not eligible for some free money through the government, if you're applying to the state or the institution, your university specific scholarships, like let's say you're going to the University of Florida, you're applying to scholarships that they have in-house, they're going to require that you've completed the FAFSA. For entering and getting started, you're going to need to have completed the FAFSA. It's on a lot of their enrollment and registration timelines. So let's just get this done. And the best case scenario is that you'll be eligible for some money. And because you got it in early, you'll get the maximum amount. If we wait until December, March, May, we get later on, maybe even into the summer, a lot of the money is already claimed. There's not much left to give out. Bright Futures. So the academic scholar designation pays 100% of your tuition and fees. It requires a 3.5 weighted GPA in just the 16 core classes. So that would be your 4 English, your 4 math, 3 science, 3 social studies, and 2 world language. They'll take up to 2 more classes, up to 18, if it helps you. So if you took an extra world language or you took an extra math or an extra science and you got a great grade and it boosts your GPA, they'll factor it in. But otherwise, if it doesn't help you, they're just going to go with the 16. You have to have a qualifying SAT or ACT score. So not both, but these would be the scores, either 1330 on the SAT or a 29 on the ACT. And it is super scored. So if you take it a couple times and you do really great in one section on the one test and better on the other section the next time, they'll pop those two together. And then you need 100 hours of community service. For the Medallion scholarship, it covers 75% of tuition and fees. It's a 3.0 weighted GPA in those 16 to 18 core classes, 1210 on the SAT or a 25 on the ACT, and 75 hours of community service. We're going to talk about Bright Futures more at length when we do Beacon in November. So for the purpose of this presentation, I'm going to keep moving on. The last thing I'm going to talk about is scholarships. So this is money that is awarded and does not have to be paid back. This is your best bet with going to college. So you'll notice that when I've talked here now about financial aid, I've talked about the FAFSA, Bright Futures, and now scholarships, and I haven't mentioned loans. So loans are private money generally. Some is federal money, but it's money that you do have to pay back, and you have to pay it back with interest. So you don't really want to rely on loans to pay for your entire college. Let's say, however, that you've racked up enough scholarships that you're able to pay for like 95% of your schooling, and you just need to take out a little bit of loans. In that situation, it might be okay, but it should be our very last resort. We should try to get as much scholarship money as we can. Your senior survival guide has some great resources. Goingmary.com is the counseling team, one of our favorite websites, but also scholarships.com, and there's many others. With all of these like smaller $500, $1,000, $1,500 scholarships, and you really should apply to as many of these as you can. If you racked up 10, 15, 20 of these smaller scholarships, you would actually have a good chunk of money, maybe your entire first year or entire first 2 years of college already paid for. And scholarships just isn't for college. For those of you going back to our career and trade school folks, some of that money can also be used at those types of schools as well. So for those of you planning on going into career and trade school or to college, we should be reviewing how much money is it going to cost me to go, and I need to start planning for that financial aid now. I'm going to conclude with that. Thank you so much for listening. What will happen next is your counselors will be meeting with you individually to go over your academic history and make sure you understand exactly what you need towards graduation. We also want to hear from you, your plans. What are your post-secondary plans? What's next? What have you already started doing? Do you need anything from us? And as always, you can come see us anytime you need to. We're available before school Monday through Friday, starting at 7 a.m. in our offices, during lunches Monday through Thursday during your lunch, and then Monday through Friday after school, as long as you don't have somewhere to get to quickly or ride a bus, you can meet with us at 2 p.m. We look forward to meeting with you, class of 2022.